Molly Southgate. I own the What's Molly Makin blog, and I am we're both interviewing each other. So
yes, we're going to interview each other.
And you are?
I am Chris Mao. I am co-owner of Blue Box Cafe here, and I host some shows with your dad in the Southgate Media Group network. And now I guess I host this one with you. And we're calling this is going to be called What's Molly Makin'.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the blog that she owns and she writes. Now, Molly, you just started doing a lot of cooking and some recipes, right? When did you start?
Yeah. I started around end of June.
End of June? Okay.
Yes.
To be exact.
Yeah.
She started what? Breathing? What? Okay.
I started doing not the blog. I didn't know. I started cooking.
You started cooking, and you found out you really liked it, and then you decided
Yes.
what happened after that?
And then I decided to keep cooking and keep eating.
Cool, and keep eating?
Yes.
You don't look like you gained any weight, but you're doing okay. So you did this instead of your mom making dinner, right? You decided to do it? That's
Yeah.
good. Why did you decide to start cooking? What happened? How did that happen?
Well, because sometimes I asked to get cookbooks from the library.
Cool.
So I asked my mom, and I got one. And most of what?
You're doing good.
Oh, I'm like, why are you
No.
like, you're like this at me? I'm like,
Molly, what did you do? No.
sorry, but I can only do a couple recipes, but I was
Right.
reading this and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I can do all of these.
Cool.
So I started doing the recipes and I really liked it. So I've always liked cooking,
Cool.
but I just kept doing the recipes.
Cooking and cooking
then,
some more?
And then I did the recipes on Pinterest and
Awesome. So you looked at the cookbook, you started liking some of the recipes, you started cooking. Then you
Yeah.
went on Pinterest because your mom does the Pinhead show. And
Yeah.
you saw recipes that you liked and
Yeah.
foods that you wanted to eat and that
Yeah.
you guys could eat because of the dietary stuff, which is cool. And then you started cooking. Now, when did you do the blog? When did you start doing that?
around September.
So it's been 3 or 4 weeks now?
A week or two.
Week or two?
Yeah.
How many posts have you done? Do you do one every day or once
Oh no, I've done 4 posts.
You can scroll. It's up there.
It's up there on the screen?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool because I know I saw
5.
5. Neat. I saw your dad posting and your mom posting stuff on Facebook about you making dinner and showing you pictures, and I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
She renames all the recipes.
So she mollifies them. She mollifies them.
We have chomlets.
Chomlets, okay.
Omelets with
So
chives.
what are the blogs that you've done so far lately? What are the 5? Tell me what they're
Okay, chomlets, omelets with chives.
So those are called chomlets, okay.
Yeah. Pain Perdu, gluten-free, dairy-free French toast.
It's called what?
Pain Perdu.
Okay.
It's the French.
Gotcha.
It's French for French toast.
Gluten-free, dairy-free French toast sticks.
Yes. Spring Breeze noodles.
Oh, nice.
It's peanut noodles.
Oh, okay.
With a lot of veggies.
Oh, nice. Cool. That's good. What kind of sauce on it?
We normally do.
She created it.
What'd you make it with?
Soy sauce.
Cool.
Sesame oil.
Nice.
Rice vinegar.
Cool.
Fish sauce. Ginger. White pepper. And
That's it. That's good. That's a good start. That's a good sauce.
And sriracha.
And sriracha, because everything is better with sriracha, right?
Oh, in this recipe, there's also peanut butter and water.
So when you made the sauce, and we'll talk about some more techniques later, did you make the sauce and put the peanut butter in the sauce, or did you take the sauce, put it in the noodles, and then add peanut butter afterwards?
Oh, I put the peanut butter in the sauce.
In the sauce?
The peanut butter
Did it make it a little
absorbs
thicker?
better.
So
No.
No?
It just
Okay.
kind of absorbed in.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, good. What else did you make?
Spice up life fish tacos.
Nice. I saw the pictures of those, and they were fantastic looking.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
The pictures are on there.
Yeah, put it.
Here, I got it.
You guys don't
I
have
have
a mouse,
to do this
you?
with there.
All right, cool. That looks good.
Very spicy.
They were very spicy. She spiced them up. That's good, though. That's awesome. All right, so
There.
You've been cooking pretty much almost every night since like June, right?
Yep.
Except when you guys have gone out or gone to somebody else's house, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
The other thing is, she, from the end of June until we decided to start the blog, I went back and wrote them all out, and she had done 30.
Nice.
Individual, like unique recipes, but that didn't count all the ones that she
Redid?
Because there were a
Yeah.
lot that she likes to make over and over and over again.
Good. So, like, do you watch any of the cooking shows or anything to get techniques or not?
Oh, that was a question I wanted to ask Chris.
Well, you can ask me that too, but I'm
I
going to
will.
ask you that too.
But no, I watched the cooking shows.
Uh-huh.
And I really enjoy them, but I don't really use their techniques.
You don't? Okay. Well, you know what? And some of it is the techniques are similar, so you can do that. And part of it is just figuring out what you're comfortable with. So that's good. So that's neat. I think it's awesome because I personally think that cooking is one of the basic skills that everybody should learn. And I'm kind of upset that they don't teach this in school anymore. And not that it was, and before, unfortunately, it was like, oh, home ec, it's just going to be what girls take. And I think it's really important for everybody. Number one, people aren't getting married as early as and I want to say, number one, people aren't getting married as much as they used to. Number two, people aren't getting married as early as they used to. And you're going to spend some time on your own or in a group and living in an apartment. You need to know how to cook. And the funny thing about it is you don't need to know that much. You just need to know a few things, and then you can make everything, as I'm sure you found out, that everything is pretty simple and how to do it, and everything kind of correlates, and that's really neat. And I'm glad you're learning some more stuff. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes.
Okay.
If you had a food truck, what would be the?
Oh, a food truck. I think that I would do. That's hard to say. It's hard for me to answer because I think if I could do any kind of food, it would probably be a taco truck. But I think the most successful would be doing some kind of like either hamburger or hot sandwich truck. I think that would be the coolest thing to do. So that you could do on wheels. So.
Nachos.
Nachos? Ooh, that's a good
all
one.
different types of nachos, like ice cream nachos.
Oh, nice.
Pizza nachos.
Cool. Where are you going to be? Where? Where's your truck going to be?
I don't know. In the
Are we
city?
going to be calling that Molly's Making It Happen? Because
No.
that would be awesome.
Nacho nachos.
Macho nachos? That's funny. I had a friend who had a Mexican restaurant when I was in college. He called it Nacho Mamas. It was a Mexican restaurant, but they have long been out of business, but that was a cool name. So, what else? You have any other questions for me?
Oh yeah.
We forgot to write these down.
It's okay.
We have to keep like what?
You have to look. You have to. It's okay.
If you could be on any cooking show, what cooking show would it be?
If I could be on any cooking show, which show would it be? Well, that would be. I think it would be two shows, and to go back, I would really, really like the opportunity to cook with someone like Jacques Pepin, who I don't know if you've seen on WTTW. He is a French chef. He's French, and he's a French chef. He just has a really, I think, neat outtake on life, and I think it would be really cool just to see how he does it because he's in his early 70s now, and he's still cooking strong, and he did this long before it was cool to be a chef. He was a chef when it was the grimy, nobody really cared to do it kind of thing. So I think that's who I would want to be in that with. And this would be kind of a dream of mine would be to be on a Gordon Ramsay show and tell him to blank off. But that would be just me. And you know what? I think I have a lot of respect for him and his ability and his skill. And I think when he first came on, it was kind of different that he was like the kind of jerky guy. I think that's kind of run thin, and I don't think that's the appropriate way to handle people. As we kind of talked about earlier, Rob, about some different, the way you act about whiplash, right? About that stuff. But I think that was kind of, that's the two people I would like to cook with. How about you?
I would like to be on Chopped.
Ooh, Chopped? I think you would do really well.
Thank you.
They do.
Yeah.
They have all those shows. I mean, you know what?
They have junior top.
They have Junior Top Chef. They have Junior Cook. They have Junior Master Chef. They have all of those shows. You know what? I like those shows, and I think they're interesting. But like, I think some of it is unfair because they, I don't think that is the only measure of what being a good chef is. It's just getting a bunch of ingredients that you don't know about. It can show some versatility, but it should be the quality of the food over than you just having 15 minutes to make the best looking plate that you can slop together. And I think that's an issue because you should be given you should be given enough time to make good food. And that's but part of being a chef is being able to do a really, really good job all the time. Everybody.
Chef gives like an hour or so.
Right. They give you some different time, but there's still an unrealistic time limit sometimes for people that have never made a souffle. Just because you can't make a souffle doesn't mean you're not the best chef. Just doesn't mean you don't know how to make a good souffle, and you would have somebody else do that for you if that's what you needed. And that's part of being in a kitchen. That's the difference between being a home chef and being a chef in a restaurant is you're going to have a bunch of people working with you, all that could be really, really good at one thing, and together as a team, you are awesome. It's not just one person making food for that. So it's it's just a different, it's a team effort. It's not just about you. So, but so you think you want to be on one of those cooking shows?
Yes, for sure.
I think it would be neat, but I think there's too much about how it looks and how this, I love Emeril Lagasse and all his BAM and all that stuff. He's actually a very, very, very talented chef, but he made it about how it looks and what kind of cool things you do to the food as opposed to how good the food is that you cook. Like Julia Child was about making good food that you could make at home and that you could eat, where some of these newer guys are about how cool it is or how, Guy Fieri, how off the chain, even though I love going to those places because I think they make some really interesting food. It's just different, that's all. So
yeah.
So of all the things that you have cooked so far, getting back to kind of what you do, what has been your favorite thing? Or actually, you know what, not your favorite. What was the one thing you think you couldn't do, but you pulled it off? I think that's the harder thing. What were you like looking at saying, I got this recipe, I don't know if I can do it?
Salad?
Let me think.
Was it tacos? Was it the noodles? Was it
The omelets.
the omelets?
Yeah, 'cause they're hard to flip.
Hard to flip?
Because also, like with eggs, whenever I make eggs, I'm fine cracking the eggs. But whenever I pour it into the pan, I always accidentally put in too much coconut oil, and I always get burnt.
You always get burnt? Yeah, you got to be careful.
So I'm always freaked out about eggs.
That's that's I don't want to say understandable. That is hard. It's a dangerous thing. You're using knives. You're using hot utensils. You're using hot pans, and it makes it hard to get around there and stuff. So, no, just say, go ahead. Yeah, that's good.
What's your favorite food?
What you mean? Like what style, or what's the favorite thing to do?
Like, what's your favorite food to eat?
That's hard because I have favorites in everything. I would say overall it's Italian. I like pasta. I like pizza. I like the meat dishes. I like the vegetable dishes that come there. I think I just, for my taste buds, I think it's what I like the best. But I mean, I like something of everything. I like sushi. Kathleen introduced me to that a few years ago. I really like that. Although I don't like fish itself. There's certain Chinese things I like. There's certain German foods that I like. It's kind of like my taste in music. I like what I like, and it could be from anywhere. So that's good. What about you?
I like Japanese, Chinese style food. My favorite overall is sushi.
Is sushi?
Sushi and tacos are tied in for first.
For first?
So it's kind of Mexican.
Along with milkshakes, ice cream. No, I'm teasing. So.
Along with every baked good that ever existed.
Yeah, I like baked goods too. I'm a sucker for that. So that's good. Well, no, it's good. So now I know you sit there and you told me earlier that you don't look at shows for techniques. Is there a technique that you've either learned by making something or that you had to learn that you really liked?
Not really, not that I know of, because I've learned all of my cooking from my mom.
Okay.
So that's my tip.
Okay, well, I mean, there's,
if you you have any, Mom? Do you have any techniques?
Well, I would say back to an earlier question. You had said what's your favorite thing to make?
Right.
What is your what is the one thing in every recipe that you say, okay, you go boil the water while
Oh, sauce.
You like the sauce?
Yeah.
She's obsessed with making the
Cool.
flavor profile.
It's so fun because I get to dump things in. I get to dump things in.
Yeah, it's good. Well, you know what? It is. I think that is the hardest thing to do as a cook or a chef is make something that tastes good and tastes right. And again, I don't want to say again. One of the things about cooking is you can like what you cook, but as a chef, I have to make things that other people like. As an owner of Blue Box Cafe, I have to make food even though I like it that other people need to enjoy. So sometimes you have to kind of vary with your spices, and I think that's the difference between being a good cook and a bad cook. Anybody can boil water, put some pasta in for 10 minutes and have it be done, but can they make a sauce that they like on there? And that's the hardest part. And knowing what goes together. I mean, you know what? I know that you've done this because I talked to your dad about it. You cook, you make mistakes. Sometimes you make something bad. Like, didn't you make a sweet potato fry or something that didn't turn out all right?
Oh,
and
no. Those were delicious. I made a Chinese dish, I think. Was it Chinese? It was... And it was... I put in 5 drops of fish oil.
Right. It was a little too much. And you know what? And that happens, and that's how you learn because...
Or the cake. The chocolate cake this week was weird.
It was
Right.
weird. It was gummy.
Yeah.
But then she made it again and it worked.
Right. And sometimes, you know what? And sometimes it takes experience to know, sometimes you mess up and you can't save it and you need to move on. And sometimes things just happen. And that's part of being a cook is mistakes are going to happen and you just need to get past it. Because we've all done everything right and then it comes out bad. You ask your grandma, I'm sure there's times he's like, well, it took 5 minutes to cook last time. This time it's burnt. What do? Sometimes you have to eat it. Sometimes you say, oh, I'm going to throw it in the garbage and make something new. It just depends. Yeah. Well, I don't want to say it depends. Hey, Aaron, what's up? I mean, sometimes it's the last piece of meat you have, and guess what? If you want to eat that day, you have to do it. So.
Yeah.
Her to not use recipes, but to cook to taste.
Come on.
Go ahead, you can tell.
Okay.
You're doing good. Well,
She said, because I don't know if everyone heard, but she said she taught me how to cook with taste.
Yes.
I don't cook with recipes as much. Like, I started on a recipe, but then if it tastes bad, we go to taste.
And
we go to what tastes good.
And that's a very important thing to remember is that a recipe is a guideline. You just can't say, well, it says a pinch of salt because sometimes you need a little bit more salt. Sometimes you need a little bit less, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's all different. If it usually takes 10 minutes for bacon to cook in the oven, because we bake our bacon, sometimes it takes 12. Sometimes it takes 12 minutes, and sometimes it takes 8, just because the bacon may be a little smaller, your oven may be a little bit hotter that day. Excuse me, it may be a little bit more humid. That's life, and you gotta, as a cook and as a chef or as an aspiring chef, you have to be able to adjust to that. I mean, if you know the basics, if you can make a soup, if you learn how to cook some chicken, you can boil an egg, you can make eggs, you can make pasta, guess what? You pretty much can make every recipe that you're faced with a few exceptions, and learn how to make you'll get into more, learn how to make a cake, learn how to make a pie crust. That's pretty much it. I mean, you're pretty much done. And you can make anything after that. I've talked to a lot of people just being in this business a long time that are afraid of it. It's not be afraid. Yeah. I've had some of my friends, I can't cook. I'm so scared. It's like, it's easy. You got to start small and then build on it. I mean, I'm sure it's been better. You have more confidence right now taking on a recipe that you've never made before than you did June 24th. I can guarantee it. You can come up and say, hey, I can make that pancake. I can make XYZ. So.
Yeah, just don't stop and don't freak out.
Exactly.
Because I started when I just was like, oh, this will be fun. I'll make one thing from this cookbook.
Right.
And then I just kept doing every single thing in that cookbook I've done almost everything in that cookbook, and now I own that cookbook.
That's cool. That's good. Well, and that's good. That's how you build it.
Literally and figuratively.
Right. Well, I mean,
Yes.
and it's good that you come up with names that you like for it or you can create because
Yeah.
it's just a name. I mean, we make a thing called magic bars here. They're basically a 7-layer bar, but I've come up with my own recipe, and I do it for consistency, so that anybody that works for me can make the bar very, very close to what we make. And that's another thing, like a difference between being at home and being in the restaurant industry is I need to make my magic bars about the same every time because people expect it to taste a certain way. Now, maybe personally, I might put some mint chocolate chips in there or like Oreo crust and make it a little bit differently. But for here, I need to make it like that. When you're doing it at home, you can make it differently. Like if you go to, and I'm going to use McDonald's as an example. It's a bad one. A Big Mac tastes like a Big Mac everywhere because it's made the same way in general. Whether it's good or bad is another story, but that's why McDonald's is as successful as they are because that's the way it is. You don't want to go to McDonald's and have a Big Mac be, with horseradish sauce instead of their secret special dressing. So that's why they do it that way.
Yeah.
There's just like little differences between that stuff. So do you have any other questions for me?
I have one that my dad suggested.
Okay.
I can't answer this because I cook at home and I always like what I cook.
Yes.
But you probably can. I
Okay.
think. Have you ever had to cook something that you hated?
Oh yeah, all the time. I mean, not all the time, but I do not like I told you, fish. I don't like fish.
Yeah.
I don't like to eat it. I don't like clams and oysters and things like that. And I've had to cook that. Hate is a strong word. Dislike more. There isn't anything that I really hate. If somebody, I'm in the business to sell things to people, so I'm passionate about a good preparation more than I am about making something that I like. So if I make that well for somebody, I feel satisfied, and I take pleasure in that, as opposed to saying, well, I don't like this. Shrimp isn't a good example, but this fish stew, I may not like it, but if I make it well and other people appreciate it, then I'm okay with that. So, it's not about what I want, it's about what people want. It's like, people come in and order these weird sandwiches on gluten-free wraps with all sorts of stuff. I'm teasing you guys, but I'm just saying, people come in and order all sorts of different things. I'm okay with that because that's what they want, and I will do the best job I can to make that for them. But I may not like it, or I may not like the bread or the combination or something, but I eat weird things too. I do all sorts of weird stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And hopefully people do. Oh, yeah.
What? Oh, what's the most unique restaurant you've ever eaten at?
Or what's the weirdest food you've ever eaten?
Foods, that's...
Like Rob's had alligator.
I've had gator. I've had some weird fish. I ate 100-year-old egg once.
Ah.
Yeah, it's weird and it wasn't very good, but I ate it once and I'm still alive. So
Maybe it made me
no,
Wow.
it just made me not feel good about myself. So, but it's weird. What about you? What's the weirdest thing you've ever had?
There's nothing.
Nothing weird?
Well,
Because I
have to say clams. That's the strangest.
Clams?
I would say weird for her age.
For her age, absolutely.
Because she'll eat anything, and so,
Right.
So everything I eat is weird for my age.
I'll try things once. Like I don't like parts, and I hate to say it like that. I'm not a big organ meat person. So like people eat liver, people eat stomach.
Oh, yeah.
I don't, but I like some of them. I like some of those things, but I'm not a big fan.
Gizzards.
So, yeah, gizzards are okay, but I'm not. That's not my thing. So
What's the most unique restaurant you've ever eaten at?
unique restaurant. It's hard to say unique, but what was that? So Kathleen and I went on our honeymoon to Rome, and we were looking for this place and we couldn't find it. And Kathleen had looked it up and found it. It was a place where all of the people that worked at the newspaper went, and we couldn't find this place because Rome is like roads like this, and it was crazy. So this guy saw us. He goes, "Do you guys need help?" And I'm like, "Sure." And he had to be kind of important because he was walking with a briefcase. He goes, "I live right here. Let me take you there." So he literally is like 10 feet in front of his door, And he puts his suitcase sitting there, and he goes, somebody will get it for me, don't worry about it. I'm like, okay. And he took us down this labyrinth to this restaurant, which was this great restaurant, but it was like I was eating in the alley right here. But I went down to the casino, left, right to get there. And it was like a really cool, it was probably the best meal we had in Rome, but it was a very unique way for us to get there. But it's hard to say. I mean, that would be the coolest kind of place that I went.
How about what's your favorite food, like a movie or a scene in a movie about food that was
Wait.
Big night.
Big night, yes,
well,
absolutely.
But I want to what Molly too.
Molly, what about you?
I don't know that one, but I want to say I was at the Fish Boil in Door County.
Cool. That's
That
really
was the
neat.
most
That's a neat
neat.
experience. Some of those kind of group things are really kind of cool, and that it's amazing what people as a community can do, because those started out as community meals where they would get 5-10 families, and somebody would have some potatoes, and somebody would have onions, somebody would have crawfish, somebody would have shrimp. So yeah, just put it all into a pot and cook it. Somebody would throw some whiskey in, and let's go. And it worked out great. But Big Night, in terms of me, the movie, is fantastic. The whole.
What's your movie scene in a movie with food?
I know yours, Molly.
I know mine.
Yeah, the Harry Potters.
Harry Potter.
What was the movie?
Like it's replenishing every time they take something.
Oh, yep, Harry Potter.
If that was mashed potatoes, I would be in.
Yeah,
That would be my most favorite food is mashed potatoes.
Oh, Close Encounters would be yours.
Close, yes. So what was the movie with Bradley Cooper where he's that like crazy good avant-garde chef that came out a couple years ago? So there's, I'm sorry? Burnt. So there's a scene in there where he goes and cooks, and he burned a previous sous chef that worked for him, and they thought guys from Michelin were there reviewing the restaurant, and the guy put pepper in the food and kind of said, "This is for all the bad that you did to me." And Bradley Cooper, the light went off in his head saying, "It's not about me, it's about us." Because in the beginning it was about him and all of his techniques, and then it became about the whole group of people in the kitchen, and then they got much better as a kitchen. I think that was a really, really good
Yeah.
movie for the industry and that kind of thing, where you show it's about everybody.
I got one more.
Yes.
Chef.
I've not seen Chef, and I want to.
Julie and Julia.
Is the best.
Yeah, Julie and Julia is a great movie
Yeah.
about where that goes. So it's almost one sweet.
Yeah, are you guys done?
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here in a second. So why don't you give everybody your info on your blog and all that stuff? So where can we find it?
Okay, on blogspot.com. On blogger.com, go to Google What's Molly Makin', and that's where you can find
So
my,
that's
my
What's
blog.
Molly.
Follow you on Facebook.
Oh, yes, you can follow us on Facebook at What's Molly Makin'.
And it's not making, it's making I-N.
Makin'.
No G.
Yeah.
You can look it up, and she's, you know what? How old are you? Is it 9?
9.
9. Molly is 9. She's in there cooking, learning how to do it, making mistakes. I know she writes it. She's a very talented young lady who's doing some great things, and you should check out the blog, see how she's doing in her journey, and hopefully, I don't want to say leads to some great things, but I think it's a great experience for you to learn how that, because you know what,
Yeah.
cooking can be very rewarding and also very humbling, because you are going to make mistakes, and it's okay. So, but we are wrapped up here. What's coming up next? Next is Gaming Outsider. They'll be up here in a couple minutes. We're going to get ready for them. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening to the second annual Southgate Media Podcast Marathon.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anything else we should talk about?
Keep cooking.
Keep cooking, yeah. Get out there and do that. Thank you, guys.